Welcome back to the free agency frenzy edition of the Purple Rain podcast. Once again, thank you for coming through to episode 158 of the Purple Rain podcast. Gotta do it. The Peter Buller episode, Elvis
Mm,
Dumerville,
talk to him.
Michael Pierce, LJ
Mm.
Ford, fan favorite,
Oh
Dennis
yeah, for
Haley,
sure.
Jonathan Freeney, Steven Johnson, Robert McCunn, Jason Phillips. Yes, a lot of good players were 58.
Yeah.
But it is the 158th edition of the Purple Rain podcast. How are you doing on this lovely Monday, this lovely free agency tampering day?
I'm doing really well. I'm doing really well on this Monday. First of all, it's a Monday, the first Monday since daylight savings time started again. So like it's actually light outside when I get off of work. It's beautiful. Like I'm looking out the window right now. It's like it's light, it's still light. I love this. But yeah, other than that, I've been doing well. Obviously, free agency just started today. A lot of crazy stuff has happened so far. I expect a lot more to be coming down the pipeline for sure, like soon enough. But a lot of crazy stuff has happened. We're going to get into all of that. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at the Purple Rain Podcast, like you see down below right there. You can follow this guy over here on Twitter at simplyas10 or on Instagram at simplyas10.prod. Or you can follow me or you can follow me on Twitter or Instagram at Sudden Death. All right.
And
Last but
most
not least,
importantly,
you already
yeah,
know. You already know what it is, man. Manscaped.com. You already know what it is. Y'all can go over to Manscaped, get anything that you want off of their website. Get 20% off using our code, plus you get free shipping. You don't get many
kicker.
deals better than that.
You
You do
know,
not get many deals better.
most of the time is 10%, all right, and without free shipping. But this,
Right.
double it, and then the free shipping. Come on. You
I
had to
mean, you
double
can't
it.
beat that. You really can't
You
beat
know I
that.
had to.
So yeah, make sure you head over to manscaped.com, use our code PRP, save yourself 20% and free shipping, like we said. All right, look. Shout out to all my homies in the live chat right now. The live rain gang is in full effect. I see you guys in here and bring you guys up on screen. I don't give a shout out to these guys very often, but shout out to everybody watching on Twitter right now
Oh,
as well.
yeah. Howdy.
Yeah, yeah. Howdy to you guys. Let's see. In the live rain gang chat, though, we've got SG says time to overreact to the free agency moratorium. What's going on, SG? Darius the official in the house. That's my guy. Quoney is in the house as well. I see Eric Taylor says, "Yo, my dogs, what up, man?" Dylan is in the house as well. Last time we did a giveaway, Dylan actually won. Maybe we'll do another one of those soon. Who knows? It's off season. Chike is in the house. What's going on, man? Appreciate you for coming through. Gilbert is in the house as well. Says, "Sup, fam." What's going on? Appreciate you guys for coming through, pulling up. Make sure you guys like the video. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel if you are new here. We're gonna get into a couple of different topics tonight. I was thinking that it would be good if we started with this topic.
Okay.
So the Ravens lost a couple players today,
Yeah.
right?
Indeed.
Most notably to me, one Calais Campbell. Calais Campbell is gone. You could argue that he probably wasn't the most impactful player that we lost today. You could argue that it was Ben Powers, and I would totally agree in a lot of ways. But I don't know, man. Losing Calais Campbell really, I think, is going to do a number to our defensive line because he really is the one who rallies the troop. He's the leader of that group. And you can see multiple times, I think I tweeted it earlier, where he has moments where he just takes over games. Like the veteran presence and leadership is just there, and he just makes a play and swings the tide of the game. And I'm definitely going to miss that for sure. But how are you feeling about Calais Campbell?
Now he could come back. That's the only thing. I honestly think he'll come back. I think it'll be like not a gentleman's handshake, but he can test the waters if he does get much more than we are willing to give him. He'll leave,
Right.
but yeah, that he was definitely one of the leaders on the defense, and he's just a big guy. He was respected by the Lions. He would get double and triple team some guys, and he would take out 2 to 3 linemen by himself, which would make it easier for everybody else. But the stats don't show it, but he was helping out immensely in the run game. Obviously, not in the pass game. I don't think he had that many sacks last year, but in the run game, he was helping out a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, he will be missed, and like you said, the leadership. Hearing that deep voice just screaming "Yes, sir" for like 10 seconds, like you can't miss it. But I hope he does come back on a cheaper deal. I paying 10 million to a 37-year-old defensive lineman is a lot, so I definitely understood it, but I do want him back.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, and I get we're trying to save cap space. We're trying to cut down on that, whatever other moves we might be, making here in the near future. But man, just sucks to see somebody like that get let go.
Yeah.
Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat about that. SG agrees with you. Says Calais has to be a handshake deal, right?
I think he's gonna test the waters. They said they're not gonna rule it out. Uh, that like the little thing they put out about Calais, I thought something happened to him. Honestly, I didn't even realize we like released him. I'm like, why did they release like this long whole thing about him? But I think there's like a behind the scenes. Him and EDC were like, okay, we want you back. We're willing to give you this much. If you get more, talk to me. But there's definitely something behind the scenes. SG definitely.
Yeah. All right. Let's go ahead and move on to the next player that we lost. So Ben Powers, I already brought him up before. Ben Powers, left guard for us. We kind of saw this coming, right? We saw this one coming from a mile away. Ben Powers has largely been, a really key piece to that offensive line in the past couple of seasons, and he's kind of like an unsung hero in a lot of ways. Doesn't really get talked about too much, but he does everything that coaches, ask him to do. And he plays his ass off, whether it's pulling around, whether it's just blocking up front. I mean, he's really good at football and playing that position. So it does suck losing him. And we don't really have a backup. So this is the one that really hurts the most when you really like look at the roster, like because Ben Cleveland, we still don't know where he's at in terms of his development. We don't have Phillips anymore, so it's like I don't know what we're gonna do with the position. We're probably just gonna go draft, right?
You would think, or maybe like a cheap vet, like they tried to do with the Jawan James thing, except it actually works out this time. But just piggybacking off of you with the Ben Powers, it was his first year starting like every game last year, or this year, however you want to call it. And that's how you earn yourself a 50-some million-dollar contract. Is you go out there every single game, play your heart out, whether you're winning or losing, not giving up sacks, not allowing pressures, manhandling just the guys in the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
I'm happy. I mean, you really can't expect more from. I think he was a third or a fourth round pick. You get that type of production out of him. I mean, you're happy with that. And then we're going to get a fourth round comp pick for him as well. So it honestly worked out in the end for everybody. We got high level play out of him. He got 50 million big ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm rooting for him. I mean, super stand up guy. Never heard anything from him, even when he was number 2 on the depth chart. So came into the. I remember we were picking like who's going to be the guard this year. Is it going to be Cleveland, TCC, or is it going to be Powers or Phillips? And yeah, Powers took it and just ran away with it. So shout out to him.
Yeah, definitely shout out to Powers. Definitely played himself out of a contract here in Baltimore for sure. And that's what happens with a lot of play when it's not like a super impact position, like or a premium position, when you talk about like a left tackle or a quarterback or a receiver, you don't let them just play themselves out of their contract. You do everything in your power to re-sign them. But a guard, teams mainly see them as like interchangeable. So I definitely think that the Ravens will attack that position heavy in the draft. And, early on, first 3 rounds, they're definitely going to have a guard somewhere in there, I would assume.
Yeah, and Jonathan Washington just brought it up. He said with Powers gone, you guys see the Ravens going the interior O-line route at 22. If there is one there, I say it's a smart move. You have to always both said it's not a sexy pick, but most of the time it's the right pick. So if JSN isn't there, Jordan Addison isn't there, receiver wise, if none of the top DBs are there, I wouldn't hate it. I would definitely understand it. Same time last year when we got Linderbaum, I don't think anybody hated the pick because we didn't have a long-term center for how many years? So that would be a smart move. I'm in agreement with you.
Yeah, I can agree here too. Now, the one thing I will say, it really depends on how the Ravens plan on, rolling out the rest of the offseason. as it pertains to what type of receiver talent they want to acquire. Because if they want to go heavy in the draft, then hey, I say use that 22nd pick, and maybe your guy is there at 22. I'm not exactly sure if he's projected um, to fall that far. Is it what's his name? Enigma? Enigma?
Jack, yeah, I've seen a lot. I don't think he'll be there, but
No.
there's still so much time.
Yeah.
Actually, Daniel Jeremiah had him as a second round pick, which if that is actually true and we passed on him, I'd probably pop a blood vessel. But you know how the draft is. Like, there's guys who are shock first rounders, and even on draft day, remember when we went live the first time, JOK, like he was supposed to be like a mid first rounder. He had the heart condition. He just dropped the second round. We don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be pretty cool to get JSN though, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But yeah. So let's move on to the other player that the Ravens unfortunately had to say goodbye to today, Josh Oliver.
Yes.
Josh Oliver, tight end. Also another one who got the bag, got the bag. Kind of unexpectedly too, right?
Yeah.
So what did you think about that one?
It shocked me. Like, I didn't expect him to be like a day one free agent gone that early and for that much money, considering they had TJ Hawkinson. But get your bag, young fella. Get your bag.
Yeah. I mean, and like I was telling you before we went on stream, Josh Oliver, he had a couple big moments last season. So I think it kind of does warrant him getting his money, and I think he can definitely do some work. Wait, where did he go again?
Minnesota.
So many moves today. Minnesota, right. Oh, and they've got Hawk. Yeah, you're right. There'll be a lot of opportunities there. I would say, like, I think they're going to be throwing the ball a lot more. Kind of intrigues me to see, like, how the Minnesota offense is going to be next year. Like, do they keep riding Dalvin Cook? Or do you think that they want to transition to more pass heavy? You said he is?
Yeah, they received
Yeah.
calls for him. So
that's what I'm thinking, right? It's like
you have to be in win now mode when you have a guy like Justin Jefferson as well. You would think that, right?
Right. Oh, man, I don't know, man. It's interesting stuff going down in Minnesota. Jonathan Washington Jr. says, good for Josh Oliver. Best of luck for him in Minnesota. Chike, my guy Chike, says, if anything, we should have kept Powers and released Calais because he is more impactful on the team, especially in the offensive line, because he's really good at run blocking, but not pass blocking. Yeah, and I was agreeing with you there, Chike. I definitely think that Powers is the more impactful player because he's a little bit more consistent with his play than Calais Campbell is at this point in his career. But Calais Campbell, like I said, at the same time, man, you see that X factor in Calais Campbell sometimes. Like when you need one, he can go get you one. Whether that's a sack, whether that's a block, whether that's a whatever, So I don't know. Sucks to see both guys go, but that's how the game goes.
And also with Powers too, I don't think we had that type of money to re-sign him. Especially with the whole Lamar contract, because paying him that much money annually would have taken a hit, especially with I know Zeitler's getting paid good money on the line as well as Stanley, and I don't know how much Moses is making this year, but it would have been hard to keep them all. I'll say that.
Let's see. Chike asking a random question for the chat here says, chat, how many players are we from competing from a Super Bowl? Alex, I want to get your take on this. How many pieces do you think the Ravens are away from being legit Super Bowl contenders in the NFL?
I mean, is this if we have Lamar Jackson on the team next year?
Yes. Let's say if we do have Lamar, yeah.
2 receivers, 1 edge rusher, and probably like a corner or 2 more.
And when you say 2 receivers, do you mean 2 ones or like a 1?
No,
and a 2?
I mean a 1. Honestly, a 1 and a 3.
Okay. Yeah.
What about you?
I feel that. I feel that. No, like I think that makes a lot of sense. You definitely brought up edge rusher. I mean, you really just got to attack the premium positions. If your premium positions aren't there and like just strong, like I said, left tackle, right tackle, quarterback, and then receiver. The only thing we're really, really missing right now is going to be receiver. So I do agree with you. Get a wide receiver 1, and then even a wide receiver 3. Mix Bateman in there with the 2 of them. Mark Andrews there is still, likely is still there. I think that's really all we need, and that's why I'm kind of like what's the phrase? Like I'm kind of like I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting in the wings to see what these Ravens are going to do to address the receiver position because I have not forgotten. I have not forgotten the day after the season ended for us when John Harbaugh got on that podium and said, "We are going to revamp the wide receiver room," or something to that, like something like that. So it's got to be coming. It just depends on which way they want to go. I did hear that they were interested, possibly in OBJ. Went to go watch him work out last
Yeah.
week. What do you think about
Uh,
that?
I'm obviously a huge OBJ guy, but I saw how much he may be commanding. 20 million.
20 mil. Yeah.
That's if we're talking 20 mil, I'd rather just go and trade for D Hop
Yep. I'm right there with you.
or Mike
I am
Evans or
right there with
something. You know
you.
what I mean? Like,
Yeah, definitely. Um, yeah, I mean, two ACLs in the last 2 years, it just that's tough. That's tough, man. I'm not gonna lie. Um, Especially how he got them too. Like, I don't know honestly how much football, and it's sad to say, but I really don't know how much football Odell Beckham Jr. really has left in him. Like that's I don't know. He could be a fast healing guy, but two ACLs, that's not good for this sport. That's all
yeah,
I'll say.
and especially with like the whole turf and grass. You
Yeah,
know,
that's
I
not
know the
even getting
Ravens
better.
have grass, but we're gonna play games at stadiums that have turf. It's
Yeah,
we can't control that, unfortunately. So,
yeah.
and even just the way he did tear his in the Super Bowl was kind of a freak. Just running, kind of got caught. Boom.
Jonathan Washington Jr. here says, "Do you guys think it's possible for the Ravens to win a Super Bowl without a wide receiver one? Maybe like a Lamar and 2 to 3 wide receiver twos."
Until we see what Todd Monken can do, because I just saw the Kansas City Chiefs do that exact same thing.
You're
Because they
right.
did not have a wide receiver one. MBS, Juju, McCole Hardman, Sky Moore, they are not receiver ones.
Yeah,
Bunch of twos, three and threes.
yeah,
But I mean, the enemy and Andy Reid had them working. So if Todd Monken can do that, maybe. But we haven't seen what he can do yet with this offense. But if you gave him some, I mean, I'd probably feel a lot better than I did than with Greg Roman at the top. I'll be honest.
right. And I think that it definitely is possible, Jonathan, without a wide receiver one because of the way that Lamar likes to throw the ball anyway. I mean, I think that he loves, utilizing his tight ends. If there's a deep shot there, he'll take it. But for the most part, I think Lamar Jackson is a relatively matured quarterback. He does still have some things that he lacks at in terms of like I think he still sits in the pocket a little bit too long for my liking. But if he cleans up those things, he can easily play on a Mahomes like level, when it comes to distributing the football because we've seen it before. We've literally seen him do it before, you know. But it is going to take, like you said, a good offensive game plan from Todd Monken.
Yeah, and one thing I'm still looking at is what we do with Patrick Ricard, because we both heard what Todd Monken said. I know with cap cuts happening, we don't know how much he's going to use the fullback in this offense. We don't know what he's going to do. That's something I'm keeping my eye on. I mean, I don't think it would happen, but if we do have an opening at D tackle, Ricard can play offense and defense. If that's how he can keep his roster spot, I don't know, but that's definitely, I think, a story, like a low key storyline, like what happens with him, because
Yeah,
it's gonna be something interesting.
yeah, absolutely. It is, guys. Right now, we're talking pretty much all things free agency. So if you saw anything today that really like blew your mind, drop it in the chat. We will talk about it. Let me see real quick. Sports Gaming YouTube says Zadarius Smith requested his release a few days ago.
I
Remember, I
mean,
think we talked about this in the last episode.
we could have been superstars, Darius. That's all I'm gonna say. We had the contract and we backed out. Could have been
Yeah,
here.
yeah, you're right. Um, Shout out to Charlie Collar.
Yeah,
SG says here, Charlie Collar's season is here. Saw some good things from him,
yeah,
at the very end of the season. Kind of excited to see what Monken can do. I mean, Monken's got just a slew of tight ends who just have all different skill sets, but they're all just super fucking useful, man. And like,
yeah.
I cannot wait to see what he does with those guys. And then Granted, Bateman comes back healthy. The sky's really going to be the limit. If we don't get any more receivers, I think that if Monken has a competent game plan, we can make something work. You know? Do you agree with that? Like, do you think
it won't be top 10? I'll tell you that if we keep what we have. But
was
it'll
it more
be
was it more the lack of weapons, or was it more the lack of what Roman was doing?
both. Plus, we got decimated with the I word. We lost Duve and Bate. That killed us. I mean, you take any team's 1 and 2. I don't care who it is. I know our 1 and 2 really isn't superstar, but if you took away, take away Waddle and Hill from the Dolphins,
Right.
it's obviously that's like the top duo. But yeah, I still want us to get DJ Chark, to draft one, because I need to see change. I'm tired of hearing just lies that we're gonna revamp it. I need to see it. I know that's not gonna happen overnight because we have to get cap, deal with all that. But if you're gonna say these things to the fans, you got to be more open, and you gotta come true on those promises. So, and just a whole mentality change too with the Ravens. I'll get more into that later in the show, but I noticed something
for sure. SG bringing up here, the Bengals secondary is in shambles right now. Yeah, so they just lost who was it, Von Bell and Jesse Bates, right? Both of their safeties. That's going to be rough. So you can definitely tell that they're going to attack that in the draft this year for sure, I would assume. But there's an opening. There's an opening on the Bengals now deep. I mean, is that not a possibility?
They have Dax Hill. They drafted Dax Hill from Michigan last year, I think in the first round. Justice Hill's brother, which I didn't know until recently. But there is. And you look at their DBs, their secondary is looking a little shaky. So, I mean, we have a little bit of shaky receivers, a shaky secondary. Who knows what happens when we play them? But, I mean...
Alex, let me ask you a question really quick.
Yeah.
When it comes to what archetype of wide receiver the Ravens are going to prioritize and go after this offseason in order to attack these different defenses, especially in our division, what archetype of receiver do you think the Ravens are going to go after? Give me their build.
Got to be a big body. Got to be like a 6'4".
Really?
Got to be. I mean, we know what Bateman can do. We know what Duve can do, but do we have somebody on a 3rd and 4 to throw it up to, jump ball, and catch it?
One could argue the tight ends, but
yeah,
I was thinking maybe they go after another speedster,
okay,
kind of like maybe Lamar Jackson is missing what Hollywood Brown offered him, and especially when you have news like this, the Bengals losing their top 2 safeties, that softens the cushion a little bit in that deep half of the field of the secondary. So I don't know. I think they may try to draft like a speedy receiver. I remember last year, who were we trying to draft, and the Steelers ended up getting them.
Calvin Austin.
Yeah. I know we had our eyes on him, but the Steelers ended up snagging him along with George Pickens too.
He didn't play a game this year. Worked out for us.
Yeah, definitely worked out for us in hindsight. But I think that they may go after like a speedy type of receiver, man. And I would love for them to go for the X. Trust me, that's what I want. That's what I want as a fan.
This draft, there are some speedy guys in this draft.
Yeah, that's what I heard too.
Tank Dell from Houston, Nathaniel, that he actually shared one of Lamar's videos on his story and tagged Lamar, and Lamar reposted it. So I'm keeping my eyes on him. Already kind of starting the flirting before the draft process even begins. But I definitely think we are missing a deep ball. I mean, for Lamar, he has to get better with his deep ball. We have to have more of those big plays. I think we get more of them. You got to respect that our passing game even more, and then it opens up everything else. So if we did get the speedy guy to start getting those 30, 40, 50-yard touchdowns, it would do this offense wonders.
So we have a question here from Lisa. Lisa says, Alex, will Todd Monken's system from the Georgia Bulldogs work here? Pro football is a different animal than college.
We don't know yet. I mean, he did it with the Bucks. I mean, the Bucks looked pretty good when he had it. He had good receivers with the Browns. I mean, it's not his fault that the Browns had Freddie Kitchens the head coach.
Yeah, yeah, and you know what? Like I'll say this, like I think that it will work because Todd Monken, like he's already said in press conferences, he's going to prioritize getting guys out in space and really spreading out the field and making sure the defense has to cover every blade of grass on the football field. And you look at the guys we have with their skill sets. J.K. Dobbins is great in space. Isaiah Likely is great in space. Mark Andrews is great in space. Lamar Jackson is for damn sure great in space. Rashad Bateman, the list goes on and on, right? Hell, even guys like Gus Edwards can rumble and bumble, 20, 40 yards down the field. But I think when you put all those pieces together, if he utilizes him and really has that offense like clicking and in a real flow state, then yeah, I absolutely think that his offensive play calling style will work here in the pros, especially with who we have in personnel.
And what was that quote you brought up when he was talking about like the run in the pass, how it's not going to be 50-50? Remember you brought that up that one time?
Yeah. So what was he saying? He was saying that the like a balanced offense is not like a 50-50 like run pass. It's
There
like
you go.
more so like what's working, like that
Mm-hmm.
sort of thing, how to attack the defense that you're playing.
Yeah.
But yeah. So we do have our first super chat donation of the episode. This one's coming from P Brownie. What's going on, man? Thank you so much, man. Dropping the 10 piece in the chat, making it rain here in episode 158 of the Purple Rain podcast. Says, guys, they simply need a playmaker, a dog, a go-getter, a move the chains guy, no matter the size.
You know who you just described? DeAndre Hopkins, Mike Evans.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I thought of when you describe a dog, a go-getter, a move the chains guy.
Yeah.
That personally. That.
And move the chains guys have more so been known to be on the bigger side than the smaller side, historically. So that's why, like Alex said, like he wants an X. I want an X too. Just like a for sure, like, yeah. That's what we want. Let me see. Thank you so much for your super chat donation, bro. I think this is probably the first one that we've gotten from you. So we appreciate that so much. And you are officially part of the Rain Gang family. Let me see. Black Daniel showing love in here as well. Part of the Rain Gang fam as well. So show these guys some love and hit that like button. Yeah, absolutely, man. That helps us out a ton.
Punch it, touch it, caress it, click it.
Yeah.
All those.
Let's see what else you guys are saying down here. Oh, let's talk about really quick. Jimmy Garoppolo is in the AFC on the Raiders. What do you think about that?
I kind of love it. You know me. You know I love the most mid quarterbacks. I love Jimmy Garoppolo. I think he's a winner of a quarterback. We talked about the. I mean, I would have taken him if Lamar wasn't here. The guy knows how to win. Been to a Super Bowl. Won a lot of playoff games with the San Francisco 49ers. Almost had them in another Super Bowl. He's back with Josh McDaniels. Now, I don't know if Devontae Adams is going to be there, but Jimmy G has had Deebo Samuel to throw to, Brandon Ayuk. He had Emmanuel Sanders. I know he was throwing to Kendrick Bourne. Now he's going to have Renfro, Waller, Devontae Adams.
Possibly.
This guy's just hitting the jackpot with who he's throwing to.
Yeah.
I mean, he's getting paid, not top money, but he's getting paid good money. I am rooting for you, Jimmy G. You're in the hardest division, I think, in the league. Have fun.
Jimmy G he's such a fascinating story, right? Because he's never really, I guess you could say, owned a team. I mean, to the fullest extent, you would have to say the 49ers because, he went to a Super Bowl with them. But it never really felt like that was his team. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, like, he's kind of like the NFL's biggest bachelor. He just goes from team to team, gets paid big money, does his thing, does well, too. I mean, like, he wins games, like you said. So, I found this move very, very fascinating, man. And if Devontae Adams were to stay, I think Garoppolo and Adams can make it work. With Waller, they can make that work. I mean, I don't know, man. That's a underrated, signing there, I would say.
I feel like in a couple of years, we're gonna look at Jimmy Garoppolo like he'll be an underappreciated quarterback. Because he's not going to sit there and give you the highlights that you get from Mahomes, from Lamar, from Allen, from Burrow, from any of those guys. But he wins games.
All right. Doesn't make mistakes. Does what he needs to do. Like, You know,
Yeah,
you put some pieces around him and you're good.
yeah,
So yeah, I think that their season is really going to come down to coaching. It's
yeah.
really going to come down to can McDaniel's really figure out how to run that whole system.
I don't trust him.
Um,
I don't trust him.
let's see, we got a couple more super chat donations in here. Another 10 piece in the
Thank you.
chat from P Brownie. Thank you so much, bro. It says Turkey Hill,
Oh,
like the ice cream.
he meant to say Tyreek Hill.
Oh, so not the ice cream.
No, not the ice cream.
Okay, all right. I'm just
Yeah.
making sure. Tyreek Hill. I mean, what are we bringing up Tyreek Hill for?
As if that builder. I mean, talking about that builder receiver. I mean,
Oh well, yeah, like a move the chains kind of guy. Yeah. I mean, there have been a couple of times where you see, but the thing here's the thing about Tyreek Hill. He's the type of receiver where he can get open so fast. There's really not too much you can do about it, you know. And especially when you have a quarterback with a quick trigger like Patrick Mahomes, and even to a certain extent Tua Tagovailoa, uh, he's going to get his catches underneath, and he's going to move those chains. But he's a special type of player for that, for sure. Um,
very, very special.
we do have another super chat donation coming in. This one's from my guy Chike, man. Throwing a
Thank you.
5 piece in the chat. Thank you so much, bro. We
Thank you.
appreciate you. Says,
Thank you.
do you think Aaron Rodgers will tank the New York Jets because that guy is an absolute nightmare and will make any team he joins worse than they were?
Oh, Aaron Rodgers. Okay.
Yeah,
Aaron
go ahead.
Rodgers, I don't think was the biggest fan of Brett Favre, but he's doing everything possible to have his career go the same way as Brett
Yes.
Favre. Started off baller of a quarterback, private off the field. Career goes on, you win a Super Bowl. Then you start choking. You win playoff games, can't get to the big one ever again. Then you have the off the field stuff. Brett Favre's was a lot worse, but Aaron Rodgers has had his. And then they draft a guy, in the first round, a quarterback. Sits behind you, starting to learn, and then you start getting disgruntled. And
Yeah.
then and now to the Jets. Oh wait, Brett Favre, the exact same thing. As for somebody who wasn't the biggest fan of him, it's a little weird, in my opinion. In my humble opinion. I hope he doesn't go there. Keep him out of the AFC. But Aaron Rodgers is he's a whack job. I'll say it.
He's a very free spirit, you know. You want to know something interesting, Alex, that I heard one time from my good old buddy Colin Coward. I know you
Okay.
probably I don't know how you feel about Colin Coward, but I
He's
happen to
funny.
love him.
I think he's
Yeah,
funny.
he's funny, right? He said one time that, or he pointed out that athletes, like big name athletes that do not have wives, that aren't married, they tend to be a little bit more off the deep end. They do crazy stuff. You look at guys like Aaron Rodgers, right? You look at a guy like Kevin Durant, right? You look at a guy like Kyrie Irving. Like all these guys, like what do they have in common? They don't have wives. They don't have that stability. They don't have that person in their ear telling them, okay, this makes sense. This does not make sense. So Aaron Rodgers, like who did he date last? Like Danica Patrick or somebody like
No,
that?
it was so I was filled in. He was dating Shailene Woodley. Um she was a gypsy witch, all right? They ate clay. They had the Himalayan salt lamps. Then he dated a literal witch. A witch.
Oh my God, man.
He
This is why. This is why a good woman is so important.
I know
Shout
that
out
man
to
does
all the
not take a
women out
shower.
there.
That man, oh god, he's lacking the personal hygiene. I can just tell. Goodness me.
He's going on darkness retreats. You know he didn't shower during the
Right,
darkness retreat. Not a
bro.
chance. Not a
Not
chance.
and even that too. Like, not to make this like a whole like drama episode, like an entertainment tonight thing, but like, why? Are you trying to drive yourself insane? When I when I had COVID, I was stuck in my room for like a week. And I wanted to go crazy, and I had like stuff to entertain myself. Just sitting in a dark room doing nothing. I just don't get it.
He's a special type of guy, but
Yeah,
I mean, he doesn't have a wife, so I
yeah.
mean, nobody there to tell him he's doing some crazy stuff. You know,
Maybe it's him. Maybe it's you, Aaron. Maybe you're the problem. All right, it's not them.
it's not them. All right, another super chat donation. This one coming from P Brownie again, just
Thank
going
you. A
back to back
triple.
to back. The hat trick in the chat, man. We love to see it. Thank you so much, bro.
Thank you.
Says his size, he's not the biggest guy. I guess we're talking about Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely not the biggest guy, but I mean,
And we saw him
he
torch the
he
Ravens.
yeah, Tyreek Hill, he plays a lot bigger than he looks for sure. Can definitely say that.
Did you see him run
Um,
the 600 meter? I think it was
I did. Yeah, he burnt those dudes.
unreal,
That was crazy. I was
unreal.
like, man, cheetah, cheetah, man. All right,
Unfreaking real.
yeah. All right, let's any other interesting things happening in free agency thus far? We had Jalen Ramsey go to the
I was just about to
Dolphins.
bring that up. Just
Yeah.
about to bring that up.
Yeah, man. That one kind of caught me off guard. I was like, let me set the scene for you. I was actually getting my oil changed yesterday for my car. Like I was in a little, drive-through shop or whatever, and like I hear one of the guys in there. He's like, "Hey, Jalen Ramsey just got traded to the Dolphins." And I reach my head out my window and I'm like, "Yo, for real?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Oh shit." And like, man, that's a pretty big one right there because now you got Jalen Ram. They've got two of the top cornerbacks in the league, right? And then they have two top receivers on the other side of the ball.
Their
Like,
defense:
yeah,
Jalen Phillips, Javon
yeah.
Holland,
Oh, Jalen
Bradley
Phillips is
Chubb.
bad. Yeah,
I mean, they are all around, and then their offense: Tua, Waddle, Tyreek. I mean, Zeke is a free agent, obviously. Got the good line. Mike McDaniel. Yeah, they are looking good.
looking
Good
good
for
for
them.
sure, man.
Good for
Yeah,
them.
as long as Tua can stay healthy,
Exactly.
because
And then Casey brings up Hargrave to the 49ers. Javon Hargrave. All right. John Lynch to me, probably a top 2, top 3 GM in the league. I just this man does it year in, year out, putting winning football teams on the field. And then Hargrave had more money offered from the Browns, but he picked the Niners. Just for that, you're good in my book. Staying out of the AFC North. I love that.
yeah.
And 11.5 sacks from defensive tackle.
Ooh,
Insane.
yeah, those are crazy numbers right there. Let me see. Dolphins looking to make moves, says Black Daniels. Yeah.
That's why they freed up that 40 million in cap. I see what you guys were doing. I like it.
410 Byron says Usain Bolt versus Tyreek Hill is the only race I need to see. I don't know who
That
would
would be.
win. Is Usain Bolt still racing? I don't even know. I
I don't know if he
thought he
is.
might have retired. All right. Raven Ron says Lamar's running out of teams that need a QB. Sounds like teams have their guy. I mean,
I
the
mean,
Raiders, they got their guy.
Falcons
The
and
Dolphins obviously
Commanders
aren't.
are still the two teams I think I'm looking at.
Falcons have already publicly said that they are
Yeah.
out on Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
Commanders are one that kind of intrigues me. I could see it happening. I'm not gonna lie. But Alex, let's segue to this. So Adam Schefter came out earlier today, right? And he
Okay.
was kind of dropping some details on the Lamar Jackson contract situation as it pertains to how much Lamar Jackson was offered in guaranteed money. So we learned, I think it was a couple weeks ago, Stephen A. Smith came out and said that the Ravens offered him 133 million fully guaranteed. According to Adam Schefter, that turns out to be true. So they offered him 133 million guaranteed. And by the way, I'm not going to take what Adam Schefter said at 100% face value, but
Thank you.
he is a credible source. He is a
Thank you.
reliable source in the NFL media, sports world, whatever. So we have to. It counts for something, Same thing I said about Stephen A. Smith. But look, 133 million guaranteed, fully guaranteed, and then it was 175 million guaranteed with injury or something like that. Like it was
Yeah.
kind of confusing the way that he put it. Like I didn't understand that part. Did you?
This is why I'm not a contract guru guy. That's why I just like knowing where players play, where they go to school, and all that. Because I heard all the numbers and I'm like, okay, I never heard of this in this contract before. All I heard was it was more than Kyler, more than Russell Wilson, and I was sold. I was like, oh well, that basically sounds about right. I mean, that's what we were all expecting. It was going to be probably the second highest contract for a quarterback, which I think we were all expecting. If I'm wrong, right?
But it wasn't fully guaranteed though. The fully
Exactly, and that's what I
guaranteed
heard
money
too.
is lower than Kyler's and Russell's because they got 160 and 180 million guaranteed respectively. He's only getting offered 133 million guaranteed, and the rest of it is like if other things happen, like
Here's my problem. So I just saw what they've restructured Watson's contract, this and that. I mean, I'm just getting over it, man. Like, I know I'm so happy you said you can't take it at face value because you're right. Because I believe whatever Adam Schefter knows, he's telling Stephen A. Smith. You cannot. I 100% believe that they both work for ESPN. That's definitely where his source or something. I just need to know who's telling Adam Schefter this stuff. Because it's definitely somebody in the Ravens. Because it's definitely nobody on Lamar's side. Yeah. If that's the 133 fully guaranteed, that has to get pushed up, 100%.
Yeah, that's got to go up. I mean, like you like I said, you can just completely take Deshaun Watson's contract out of the window. Like just throw it out of the window. Like you've got Kyler Murray who's getting 180 million guaranteed, and Russell Wilson who's getting 160 guaranteed. And Lamar is better than both of those guys. Hell, he's better than Deshaun Watson. So that number does need to be higher, absolutely. And I'm not sure exactly what the Ravens, which is why it's going to be interesting to see what the Commanders and the Falcons do. The only other couple of teams that really make sense, maybe the Falcons are blowing smoke up all our asses. We never know. Maybe they're just trying to keep it on the low, and they're not satisfied with Desmond Ridder, as it turns out. But Yolanda says here, I'm nervous about the Falcons and Commanders. I can see either team coming for our QB. Yeah, but I guess they're just going to wait until they make an offer for him, and just try to match it. But,
yeah, Wednesday is when you can start talking to other teams.
Yeah.
Detroit, I feel like they're lurking in the background. They signed Cameron Sutton today. They have the picks. They're low-key looking like win now mode. I would keep your eyes on them as like a dark horse.
But that's you like not Goff, me. Though.
I do like Goff. This is me speaking just like low-key. I feel like they're definitely like they're at you're at a pool right now, and everybody's jumping in. They're at the end of it. They're just dipping their toe in there. They're like, "What's the feeling like today?" Before I go jump in, they're just feeling it out. So, they might be jumping in here soon, but they're just trying to feel it out. The big toe is wet. Is all I'm gonna say. The big toe is definitely wet.
They're testing the waters, huh? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Black Daniel says, "I feel like the Falcons are capped. They're lurking." Yeah. Like I said, it would make all the sense, man. I mean, you've got a decent squad over there for Lamar to work with. I mean, culturally, he would plug right into Atlanta. Like that was just, it would be perfect. But I don't know. He would sell tickets, butts will go in seats. I don't know. We'll see. And it doesn't make sense that they would be so publicly out on Lamar Jackson when they wanted Deshaun Watson last year.
Right.
So, yeah. All right, let's see what else you guys are saying in the chat. Raven Ron says Lamar needs to just sign that tender, play another year, then market himself next year. But playing for that $32 million, that's not.
I don't want to go through it all again. Another year
of not having him locked down and just knowing that that's an insecurity on our team. Like,
who does want it? ESPN, Fox Sports, NFL Network. They want that. That's something for them to talk about every single week for the next year. Is the stock going up and down? And then it's going to hear more rumors. I don't want that. Because every time it's like I'm looking at it, I see the Ravens and Lamar Jackson. Leave us alone. We don't want this.
Yeah, I would say, honestly, the worst case scenario for ESPN and other major sports media outlets is for the Ravens to sign Lamar Jackson to a long-term deal. That's like the worst case scenario. The longer that they can drag out this process of us not knowing anything and there being a gray area between where Lamar Jackson is and where the Ravens are in terms of contract negotiations, whatever, as long as there's that gray area, they can thrive off that. You can have a new segment every day of the week about Lamar Jackson and contract talks. So, it is what it is. Hopefully it gets done soon. Lisa says here, $133 million is not enough. And I definitely agree.
Yeah, I'm there with you.
Yeah.
It's just at the same time, though, this isn't really new information. Like, we've known about that 133 for how long? We just know it hasn't jumped up.
Right. Black Daniel says here, and the rest after that 133 million is basically incentives. Yes, it is. He says, don't get hurt and stay on the team. Like, those are the two other things that have to happen in order for the other guaranteed money to kick in. Like, he has to play for the team 3 more years, and he can't get hurt. Otherwise, it's just 133 million guaranteed. So
this team,
yeah,
man, this team.
let's see. I'll take a couple more in here.
I just want
What I don't know what's going on here. Brandon Tillman says the Ravens need to trade Justin
no.
Madubuike.
They got to extend him.
Yeah,
I hope he gets. I think he's going to his 4th year. They got to extend him.
yeah.
Right
I
there
love
with
me
you,
some
man.
Justin Madubuike, man, for sure.
He like low key. I think had like 5.5, 6.5 sacks last year. No one hear about it.
Nope, nope.
I'm gonna say.
Right. All right. So I think that we've pretty much touched most of the bases in terms of free agency news so far, right, Alex?
There was the Austin Eckler. He's able
Eckler, yeah,
to.
somebody did bring that up. Yeah,
Yeah, he's able to talk about what's going on with if he wants to, get traded because he's on his last year of his deal. That's pretty
doesn't mean
interesting.
anything for the Ravens though, because we already have our Austin Eckler, and J.K.
Yeah.
Dobbins. So
As for if he gets traded, I hope he goes to the NFC because keep him out of our conference. Outside of that, no Ravens rumors at all. We're not linked to anybody. Sam Darnold, he signed with the Niners, so they have Brock
oh
Purdy, Trey
yeah.
Lance, and Sam Darnold. That's kind of interesting, which makes me believe maybe trade. I don't know because I think he'll be healthy.
I think they might
I
trade
don't.
Trey.
I just don't see them trading one of them because Brock Purdy's coming back from an injury where you don't know if. I don't want to be that radical, but if it messes up his throwing, uh,
Yeah,
you just got to think about every little situation. And then Trey Lance, he
well,
hasn't played.
you got to think like it would make sense for the 49ers to trade Trey Lance because if you think about it, the 49ers, Brock Purdy has shown the 49ers more than Trey Lance has. You could argue that.
Yeah,
And Trey Lance, the type of quarterback that he is, he's going to go for a pretty good price. Dynamic quarterback, can throw the ball, can run the ball. He's young. Um, he's going to go for a pretty good price. So somebody will be interested in him. So I don't know. It would make sense for me. You just stick with Brock Purdy. You got Sam Darnold backing him up. Why not?
I mean, you got all the weapons around him. It's
Right.
definitely interesting. And then he'd be under a team friendly contract for I think 2-3 more years. Trey Lance would.
Right.
So 3 more years. Yep.
But yeah.
I don't know.
So those were the main points from today when it comes to free agency, everything like that. There's going to be a lot more news coming out soon and very soon. By the time we go live on Thursday, I assume there's going to be a lot more just breaking stuff, just breaking news. So
Hopefully
we'll be here to cover
Ravens.
that. Yeah, we'll be here to cover that on Thursday. Make sure you guys tune into that show. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at the Purple Rain Podcast, like you see down below. Make sure you follow me on Twitter or Instagram at Sutton Def, and this guy over here at Simply As 10 for Twitter, for Instagram at Simply As 10.prod. And like we said at the top of the episode, you can go on manscaped.com, guys, and you can order anything it is that you want off of that website. You can use our code PRP to save yourself 20% off, and you also get free shipping on your order as well. Yeah, unless you had anything else for me, Alex, I think I'll let you take us out.
Okay, just real quick, a nice
Yeah.
little, just for fun, betting wise,
Okay.
the odds by the time we go live on Thursday, Aaron Rodgers is a Jet. What are we putting the odds at?
Oh man, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'm gonna go. Yeah, I think he's gonna be a Jet. I think I'm
Okay,
putting my money on him. Yeah, being a Jet by Thursday. I think
like
that.
so like minus 150 is what we're thinking.
mm,
Minus 200.
I'd say minus 150.
Okay,
Minus
okay,
150. Yeah,
okay, okay.
I think you could say that he'll be a Jet only because obviously Green Bay's done with him. He's
Yeah,
done there,
yeah,
right? And the Jets are in love with Aaron Rodgers.
yeah.
They're also desperate for just a franchise quarterback and just a chance to contend for a title, you know? So I think that they end up making it happen, and Aaron Rodgers just says, to hell with it. I'll go to the Jets and play for a season or
Yes,
two or
he has
whatever.
weapons
And
there.
yeah, he's got some weapons there. He's got a nice young defense, very just young team overall. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
I like
I
that.
think he could do it. Yeah.
Raven Ron says -200, SG -300, and Byron -250. So we're all around there. So who knows what we'll see on Thursday? But yeah. Oh, Black Daniels with the
Yeah.
10 piece.
Let's
Thank you.
go. Thank you so
He
much, bro.
says the
Making it
Ravens are
rain.
trying to discount double check. They need to be offering the Patrick price. I'm just saying. That right there is how you end a show because I love that. I love that.
You're right. You're right. I mean, you're not going to get this guy to discount, man. You're just not. Like, what he's already done for the team and what he can do with a new offensive system, and if you put some goddamn weapons around him, is going to be, he could be second to none, you know. So you're absolutely right, Black Daniels. They definitely need to pony up that money for him, or else it's going to have to rebuild. But thank you so much for your super chat donation. Thank you guys so much for coming out to this episode 158 of the Purple Rain podcast. We love you guys. I already got into all the formalities a minute ago. So with that being said, I'm going to let my guy Alex take us out.
Thank you for coming through. Episode 158 of the Purple Rain podcast. Hopefully, it's not no more purple pain. And as always, like the video before you go. I think we're at like 40 something. Let's get to 50. But yeah, and as always, stay positive, test negative.
And never, ever, ever forget to call God, man. It's been episode 158 of the Purple Rain podcast. We're going to catch you guys